Today on Variant, I tell you everything you need to know about Flashpoint. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I can't wait to see the live-action Flash movie. I'm your host, Arris. As we all know, Flash Season 3 is right around the corner. It returns in full force October 4th, to be exact, which is less than a month away. And since Season 3 will be loosely adapting the Flashpoint storyline, which is one of the best Flash stories ever in my opinion, I figured this was the perfect time to talk about it on the show, as I'm sure many of you are curious about the comic this next season is based off of. So never fear, good old Arris is here. Flashpoint is a 5-issue miniseries from 2011. It is written by Jeff Johns and drawn by Andy Kubert. The story is famously known for changing the status quo of the DC Universe, which led to the reboot of DC Comics, The New 52. Besides the main 5-issue Flashpoint series, this event had several tie-in titles, like a Batman tie-in title, a Wonder Woman tie-in title, a Green Lantern tie-in title, and the list goes on, my friends. Flashpoint is definitely in my top 5 favorite Flash stories of all time. I personally think it's that good, which is why I'm really excited to talk about it. And I'm excited they're going to be loosely adapting it for Season 3 of The Flash. I say loosely because unfortunately there's no way they could do it as elaborate as the comic did, but I'm still excited for the TV show to be acknowledging and using this brilliant concept. Speaking of great concept, let's start talking about this storyline. And I don't think I have to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. There's gonna be spoilers galore for this storyline, so I don't want to hear none of that "I didn't warn you" business. Let's do this the only logical way there is to do this, starting with Issue 1. Issue 1 of the Flashpoint starts off with Barry Allen being woken up by James Forrest, a colleague of Barry's. Once Barry is awake, he quickly realizes that everything in his life has changed. He no longer has superpowers, and Central City's greatest hero is now Citizen Cold, which is obviously the hero version of Captain Cold. He also found out his father died of a heart attack several years ago instead of in prison. The Justice League and Superman don't exist, but most significant to Barry, his mother is now alive. Meanwhile, in Gotham City, Batman swings into action while chasing down Yo-Yo, who's this world's version of Harley Quinn. He eventually catches her, but when she won't tell him where the Joker is, he drops her off a building. Cyborg swoops in to save Yo-Yo, and then him and Batman are joined by a bunch of other superheroes from the Flashpoint world. The heroes all gathered to talk about how the battle between Wonder Woman and the Amazons and Aquaman and the Atlanteans have caused massive casualties and destruction. But none of them can agree on how to stop the two of them from fighting, so they go their separate ways. Including Captain Thunder, which is a really cool spin on Shazam. After this, Barry makes his way to the Batcave for Batman's help, but instead of getting help, he's attacked by Batman. He soon realizes that Batman in this timeline isn't Bruce Wayne, it's actually Thomas Wayne, and Bruce died instead of his mom and dad that night in Crime Alley. This brings us to Issue 2 of Flashpoint, and yes, I know someone in the comment section is gonna say, take a shot every time Arris says Flashpoint. And to you I say, 1, you're not original. 2, don't do that because you're gonna get drunk and then you're gonna get a hangover, you're gonna throw up, and that's not gonna be a fun time for anyone involved. Anyway, back to Issue 2 of Flashpoint. It opens up with Deathstroke being the captain of a pirate ship, which explains why he's had an eye patch and pirate boots for so many years. It was for this very moment. Sorry, I had to. It was just too easy of a joke not to make. But yes, back to the story. Emperor Aquaman finds him and says, "You're obviously not working with Wonder Woman and her Amazons, but that doesn't mean you're not our enemies." Which is quickly followed by Aquaman killing Deathstroke with his trident while saying, "No survivors." We then go back to the Batcave where Barry is desperately trying to explain himself to Thomas and tell him that he's really the Flash and he's friends and works with his son, Bruce Wayne. All this is happening while Thomas is beating the crap out of Barry. Then all of a sudden, Barry's memories spontaneously start to align itself with the Flashpoint world, and Barry realizes that this new world is not a parallel dimension, but rather an alternate reality. Barry then finds a Flash ring in the Batcave, but when he tries to eject his costume, the Reverse Flash costume comes out instead, which makes Barry believe that Reverse Flash, aka Eobard Thawne, is responsible for changing history. Thomas Wayne finally believes him and agrees to help Barry recreate the accident that gave him his powers, so he can change this Flashpoint world and revert history to what it was. Meanwhile, in London, aka the New Themyscira, Wonder Woman catches Steve Trevor of the US Special Forces. He's there to get Lois Lane, who knows every move that Wonder Woman is about to make. Lane was put there several months ago gathering intel for Cyborg. Then back at Wayne Manor, Barry Allen is trying to recreate the accident with lightning and chemicals that gave him his connection to the Speed Force, but it doesn't work and leaves his whole body horribly burned. This now brings us to issue 3, friends. The President of the United States tells Cyborg that Steve Trevor's signal went dead and that the resistance over there never got Trevor's message. He says someone intercepted it before it went out, which points to a traitor among the guys that Cyborg looped in. The President then tells Cyborg, "I appreciate your efforts trying to rally your troops, but America can't wait any longer." The President then relieves Cyborg of his duties from trying to stop Wonder Woman's and Aquaman's war. This is all happening while Element Woman sneaks into Cyborg's headquarters. We then see Barry Allen all bandaged up and bloody as Thomas Wayne is trying to treat him. But Barry says no, we have to try again. They do it and it works this time, to which Barry says to Thomas, "Told you." Barry's burns then heal because he got his powers back, and then he makes himself a Flash costume using materials and chemicals from Wayne Manor. Batman, Flash, and Cyborg then team up to find Kal-El of this reality, so they can all team up to fight against Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Eventually, they find him as part of Project Superman, which of course, General Lane is the head of. He's been trapped there since like he was a kid, and he looks all weak and frail, so they break him out while being chased by Lane's men. But once they get out, Superman just flies away. Then in the beginning of issue 4, we see the President announce that the superheroes of the world failed to come together to put a stop to the conflict between Atlantis and the Amazons, and that the US is going to enter into the Atlantean and Amazon War. Then we see that Element Woman helped Batman, Flash, and Cyborg out by taking out all of General Lane's men. After this, we see Barry's memories start to align themselves with the Flashpoint world, much like earlier in the Batcave. But he says it's worse this time, and he doesn't think he has much time left before his memories are completely replaced. As Batman sedates Barry, he says, "Just fight it, Alan. Keep fighting it. Don't forget my son." Which to me, that one sentence alone was extremely emotional. He'd rather his son live in another reality than him live in this reality. You could just really tell how much Thomas misses and loves his son. Batman and team then go to the Marvel family's house to ask Billy if he can use his magical lightning to prevent Flash's memories from changing further. After Billy does, the group hears about a failed air mission to England due to the Amazon's invisible plane air force, which I gotta say is a brilliant idea. Good job, Jeff Johns. Good job. We find out that Hal Jordan was the first pilot to die in this attack, and also a giant tidal wave is about to hit New Themyscira. This of course upsets Barry and he wants to save this world, but Batman says no, either we change this world, Flash, or we let it burn in hell. Yeah, I know, Thomas Wayne is a true badass. It's definitely an awesome take on Batman. Anyway, long story short, Flash convinces Cyborg, Batman, and the rest of the heroes to try to go save the world. Once Flash's team arrives on the battlefield, we see Emperor Aquaman fighting Wonder Woman. Captain Thunder takes on Wonder Woman one-on-one, but we find out that Enchantress is working for Wonder Woman, and it incapacitates Captain Thunder, allowing one of the Amazons to kill Billy. At the end of issue 4, we finally see Reverse Flash appear, telling Barry, "Look what you did." And this brings us to issue 5, where it gets really good, friends. Reverse Flash reveals that Barry is responsible for the Flashpoint world. He makes Barry remember by resetting his internal vibrations. The only way I feel I can tell you what happens next is by reading you what the comic says word for word, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Reverse Flash says, "Do you remember, Barry? You were at your mother's grave on her birthday. Her first birthday since you learned I was responsible for her murder. And a life of gnawing emptiness finally pushed you over the edge, to a place you swore you'd never go, to the past, to the day your mother died. Do you remember? You found me, and in that instant you pulled the entire Speed Force into you to stop me from killing your mother. You were like a bullet through a windshield. You shattered history. The lives of the closest people to you were put on a broken path. You changed time like an amateur. This is your fault, Barry. This hell is your creation. You traded the life of your mother for the rest of the world. Do you remember?" And of course, Barry finally remembers. But man, was that some awesome dialogue. Again, good job, Jeff Johns. Good frickin' job. Thawne then knocks out Batman while telling Barry, "I never killed you, Barry, because I need you. I need Barry Allen to become the Flash and to live a long life, long enough to generate a Speed Force that would be accessible centuries after its creation in the 25th century, in my time." Thawne goes on to tell Barry, "I was running through the time stream when you altered it. Because of that, you transformed me into a living paradox. You freed me from the shackles of any history." Which now means that no matter what happens to Barry Allen in the past, present, or future, Reverse Flash will still exist, because he's removed from the timeline. He exists outside of it. So now Thawne can kill Barry and still exist, which was the only thing stopping Thawne from killing him before. But as Thawne is about to kill Barry, he's freaking stabbed in the back with an Amazonian sword by Batman. After this, Superman arrives to help Cyborg, Flash, and the rest of the heroes defeat Wonder Woman and Emperor Aquaman. We then see that Barry is starting to forget what he's here for, and while Batman is laying there dying, he tells him, "Run away before your memories do. You can save those dying right now, Barry. You can save the millions that have already died, and you can keep your promise. You can save my son." Which just pulls on my heartstrings, and the rest of the issue keeps doing that. And I also have to mention that Batman gives Flash a note in this instance, so remember that. That's important to the end of the story. As Thomas Wayne dies, Barry starts running and says goodbye to his mother, which is sad and extremely heartfelt. It's definitely one of the best moments in the book. As Barry is running through time, he realizes that he could see 3 different timelines: the DC New Earth, the Vertigo Earth, and the Wildstorm Earth. We also see a hooded figure known as Pandora, who tells him the history of heroes was shattered into 3 long ago, splintered to weaken your world from their impending arrival. You must all stand together, the timeline must become one again. You can help me fix that, Barry Allen, but at a cost. And as most of us know, this very moment is what created the New 52. Barry then wakes up in a similar fashion to the beginning of the Flashpoint story. And at the very end of the issue, we see Barry visit Bruce in the Batcave to give him the note from his father. Bruce starts reading the note and instantly starts getting choked up and crying. And we even see that the end of the letter says, "Love always, your father, Thomas." Then the issue ends with Bruce saying, "You're one hell of a messenger. Thank you, Barry." To which Barry says, "You're welcome, Bruce." And that, my friends, is the end of the Flashpoint story arc. So now hopefully for those of you who haven't read the story, you can see how amazing and great it really is. If you haven't read it, I still highly recommend you read it, as I left out a ton of little nuances and dialogue that you're gonna wanna read to get the full effect. Also, there's a 3-issue miniseries that touches on Thomas Wayne Batman and the Joker, which is really good because the Joker in the Flashpoint world is Martha Wayne. Crazy. I know, I've mentioned it before in my alternate versions of Joker episode, so I may have to do an episode on that. I just really love that dynamic. But with all that said, if Flash Season 3 adapts this story just half as good as the comic is, this is going to be a fantastic season. Obviously, they're gonna have to change a crap ton of things, but if they can take this concept and make it their own and do it well, it's gonna be great. First up for Wednesday, September 14th, we have Suicide Squad issue 2. What was meant to be a routine mission to retrieve a cosmic item from an undersea fortress has become a nightmare, beyond anything the Suicide Squad could have expected. Here we have All-Star Batman issue 2. The first issue of the series was nothing less than amazing, and in this issue, it looks like Batman is gonna have to deal with the Gentleman Ghost. And finally, we have The Flash issue 6. We've seen glimpses of him, we've even seen him kill a crap ton of people in Central City. But now we officially meet Godspeed, a super speed serial killer who murders speedsters and then steals their powers. And just like that, that brings another episode of Variant to a close. But remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant Comics or this mug on Twitter at Arris_Quinones. But I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. Also see a hooded figure known as Pandora, who, fun fact, is got her own book and it didn't really last that long. I guess people weren't reading it, but it's a little tangent that has nothing to do with the actual episode.